Welcome back, YouTubers. Today we're going to be unboxing the HJM Toury electric bike. Let's check it out. Hey, this is Nelson with the E-RYDERS channel. Thanks for joining. Again, I just want to give a shout out to HJM for sending us this bike so that we can test it out and review it for you guys, and so you guys get to see what it's all about. So this is how the box came, and we're going to open it up. We did have a couple holes and punctures, but that's pretty normal, pretty standard for, you know, FedEx shipping. These things come from so far away that it's almost hard not to get any punctures or tears in the box. So let's open up the top lid and see what's inside. All right, again, pretty standard. You have parts and pieces wrapped in styrofoam sheets. You got styrofoam blocks. You got wrap, and you got even some cardboard boxes. And everything's held together with those plastic ties. All you really need to do is just maybe remove some of the top pieces and side pieces. That way it makes it easier to pull the bike out. Because you don't want anything snagging the box as you're trying to lift it out. It just makes it more difficult. You just want to be able to pull it right out. So start moving. You might have to cut some of the ties around the tire. You can see it right there. The ties around the tire. Cut those off. That way you can take that loose tire out and then pull the rest of the bike out. And here's a box. Usually these have accessories in them. We'll open it up. I'm doing this with one hand, so you have to bear with me. Alright, here is the headlight assembly. They probably should put this in some styrofoam. It's kind of weird that it's just in the bag, because that box could crunch it up a little bit. Anyway, here's the pedals, left and right pedals. Then we have the USB connector. Then we also have the quick release skewer, which is for your front axle, your front tire. And then you have a small bag of tools. It's the usual tools. If you have your own, feel free to use your own. And then in a smaller box, you have your charger to charge your battery. And last but not least, you have your manual. A lot of great information in the manual, color pages with pictures. Alright, put the box out of the way, and we'll take the bike out pretty soon here. Alright, so here's the bike laid out with all the parts that we're going to be putting onto the bike. We got your tire, fender, light, pedals, skewer. So this bike comes like 95% already pre-assembled, so it's pretty easy. First we want to start off with the handlebars. So we're going to take off the 4 bolts holding the handlebar bracket on the stem, just to get the bracket off so we can put the handlebars on. Alright, once we remove that, go ahead and put the handlebars on. Now it might be a little difficult because the display might be in the way depending on how you have your stem angled. So go ahead and loosen up the display, just that way you can move it around and get those 4 screws into the bracket. Alright, now that we got it on, we're going to tighten up, not really tighten, but we're just going to hand tighten the 4 screws into the bracket to hold the handlebars. Just enough. We're not going to tighten it all the way. It's just enough to where it won't come off. What we'll do is we'll tighten it later on after we get the front tire on. That way it's easier to determine what angle we want the handlebars. Okay, again, just keep it loose for now. Then we want to take the keys off. We need the keys to take the battery out. We're going to charge the battery up while we assemble the bike. Alright, now we're going to put the tire on. Now before we put the tire on, you got to take off that bottom foot protector too, off the forks. But let's take the plastic pieces off the side of the tire, protecting the axle and the disc. So that's one side. These are just to protect it during shipping. That way nothing gets bent or poked through the box. So you got 2 of those on the tire, the front tire. And now we got to remove that bottom boot, and this is held on by a couple of bolts, or 1 bolt, but a couple screws or nuts. Take that off. Now you have access to the bottom fork, and you line up the forks with the axle. You poke the skewer through, and you tighten the skewer down for your quick release. It might take a couple tries to get just the right amount of tension that you want to secure the front tire. Alright, and again, when you're putting the tire on, you want to make sure everything's lined up on both ends of the skewer and then between the brake pads. Right, next is the fender and also the headlight assembly. Now this is something you have to do at the same time because they use the same screw that's attached to the headlight assembly. Go ahead and take that screw off and line up and position your fender, and then attach the headlight and put the screw through the front hole, and then grab the nut and tighten it down. I'm going to show you what it looks like back there. You see that we have the headlight first, and then last is the fender. That fender bracket acts like a washer, so it keeps the headlight, from moving or sliding through the screw. All right, we're putting the nut on the back, and we're just doing it by hand. Then we're going to tighten it up. All right. And once it's tightened up, you can always angle the headlight any way you desire. Alright, now we got to plug the headlight in, and you look for the other part of it with the wires coming down from the handlebars. Alright, there it is. And you just connect the 2. Now, you don't want to mess this up. You have to line it up perfectly. And the best way to do it is to line up the 2 arrows. There's the 2 arrows, 1 on each side. Line those arrows up, push in gently but firmly, and you'll be fine. Now we want to also tighten up the fender stays on each side of the forks. So we gotta loosen up one of the screws to open up the bracket, and then wrap it around the front fork. And it is adjustable. You can slide it up and down as needed. So once you get it around the fork, you just tighten it up. But you may not want to tighten it all the way. You might want to also just get it tightened a little bit, get the other side tighten a little bit, and then adjust it as you need, you know, by eyeballing the fender, the gap between the tire and the fender. Then once you got the desired, you know, gap, then you can go ahead and tighten it down. So you just do that on both sides. Right now we're going to put on the pedals. We're on the right hand side, so we're going to use the right hand side pedal. And these pedals are made by Wellgo, and these Wellgo, they do make a good pedal. They're very known, well-known brand. All right, now we're going to tighten it down. Keep in mind, right hand pedal is clockwise when you tighten it. I say that because when you tighten up the left hand side, as you see, it is counterclockwise, so don't forget that. You can just do it by hand in the beginning, and then grab the wrench at the end and just tighten it down. Alright, now we can put the battery back in and check the battery level. It's okay, it's not completely full, but it's good enough. I got enough juice to enjoy. Alright, and then just do a quick visual inspection. Make sure all the other screws are tight, your brakes are, you know, adjusted and tweaked. You know, your tire pressure, make sure the tire pressure is good. Make sure all your cables and wires are good. Make sure your shocks are adjusted properly. Yeah, before you're riding, you definitely want to check everything out. Make sure you know all the controls are lined up. Make sure your bike even powers on. So we're going to power it on. Nice, beautiful color display. All right, everything looks good. All right, one more thing to do before we go is tighten up the handlebars and adjust the handlebars. So you just pretty much loosen that screw right there on the stem, because you have an adjustable stem. Again, something very rare on this bike. Most electric bikes don't come with adjustable stems or color displays. As you see, I have it a little higher. Now I'm going to tighten it down. Now it's time to tighten down the display. Because remember, we had to loosen that display just so we can tighten down those screws on the bracket. So we'll tighten up the display, get it just perfect the way we want it. Alright, looks good. And there you have it. That's the HJM Toury. Real nice fat tire bike, looks good. Didn't take long at all. So yeah, definitely check out, you know, the description at the bottom of this video for the link to HJM. Please like and subscribe and check it out. We're going to have the review video coming very soon. Thanks. Bye.